Welcome back everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and we're dealing with another seasonal championship this time. We're in one called Modern Spin, so we're in modern sports cars in A class. So unfortunately we're not going to be in this brand new Toyota GR86 as it's only in B class, but there are a couple of cars in that in A class that are modern sports cars that are relatively new to the game, and yeah, there are other choices as well to choose from. So yeah, more crucially though, this will give you 5 points towards the season overall, which will mean that you're a quarter of the way towards getting this glorious car, which is a really fun sports car to drive. Yeah, sounds good, looks good. It's just generally really rather solid all round. A general improvement over its predecessor that we also have in the game. So yeah, let's see where we're going to be racing and what we're going to be racing in.
You have arrived at your destination.
So we're going to be here for the first one, and then we're going to be up north for the second, and in the west near the beach for the third one. So yeah, we've got a brace of Audis to choose from, all TTs. The 2018 version is my favourite of the bunch, just because, well, it has the most power, and even though it's not the lightest, it is definitely the most powerful and therefore the best in terms of acceleration. And then we've got the BMW Z4 Roadster, the Eagle Speedster, then the Lotus Emira, which is one of the two cars that I mentioned earlier, then the Lotus Exige S, Mercedes-Benz SLK 55, the Nissan Z, the other car that I was talking about, but the 370Z Nismo was also included in the car pass, so that isn't something that was in the base game. Then the 718 Cayman GTS from Porsche, and then the normal Cayman GTS from Porsche as well. Yeah, the G718 is definitely the better of the two there. It's got more power, more torque, it's got more weight, but it's also got better handling and better brakes, as you can see. And finally, the Toyota GR Supra, which is basically the more powerful, more expensive version of the GR86 that we were in before. So yeah, we're going to start off with... See, I'm tempted by both Nissans, but I don't typically like to go in the same kind of manufacturer as another car that we use in the season championship. So we'll start off where we pretty much entered with the season championship. So we'll go with another GR from Toyota. It's Gazoo Racing. So yeah, plenty of power and torque. It's the same car basically as the BMW, as it's the same platform as Toyota and BMW collaborated to make the sports car. So this is basically the hardtop version of the BMW. And unfortunately that's the only way that they really get to make sports cars nowadays, is to collaborate with others. Toyota also do it with the GR86 with Subaru, with the BRZ, and yeah, they've also done it with BMW with this car as well. So that's purely just because sports cars just do not sell anymore. Yeah, most people want nowadays electric or hybrid or just SUVs for family cars in general. So yeah, sports cars really aren't the big sellers that they used to be. Although the Toyota 86 in the US, where it's sold as a Scion as well as a Subaru, has done pretty well in I think it was last year where it had its third best-selling year. So yeah, there's definitely a market for sports cars, but certainly not the big market that it used to be. Which is a shame, because we have some of the best ones going at the moment, with the likes of this, the GR86. I kind of like the Z4, and the Lotus Emira, which again is brilliant. But yeah, even Lotus are stopping making those kind of sports cars soon, so which is a shame, but you know, times must change, and they are going to be changing towards either more family-friendly cars or electric cars in general. But we'll still have fantastic cars like this to drive in games, which obviously isn't 100% the same, but it's at least, you know, something at the end of the day. Yeah, this Supra is doing really rather well. It's not my favourite of the cars that this shares its platform with. I do prefer the Z4. because I think that car looks better. And it definitely has some more power and torque. This is still overall really rather good. I hope Toyota continues to collaborate with other car manufacturers to, you know, make these kind of cars better and more enjoyable to drive and the like, because they do a really good job of it. And they've done a really good job with BMW making this platform, so continue to collaborate with BMW and, you know, share the costs of making a car that isn't going to be a high volume vehicle, then it's only going to be a good thing. Gained a massive lead. Which is surprising because we're not the most powerful car that we choose from. A bit of understeer there. Do a bit of pruning of the trees, but still, there we go, got a first place. So, yeah, not the most powerful car here, so I am surprised that we had quite the big gap that we did. But then again, I think the Subaru, yeah, the Toyota 86, Honda S2000, and yeah, those cars aren't in A class, so they've been upgraded to be in this class. So whether or not the upgrades have been any good or not depends on how the game has decided on that. So yeah, that might be why they weren't as quick as us. So yeah, but nonetheless, that gives us 20 points. So it's a great start to this championship. So let's move on to the second race. Right, so the GR Supra gave us quite a big lead despite not being the most powerful of cars to choose from, so let's go for a car that is pretty powerful, and that is the Lotus Emira. 400 horsepower from a 3.5 litre supercharged V6, one of the few cars to actually have a supercharger on any engine these days, and doesn't weigh all that much either, like a lot of Lotus vehicles. So yeah, and it's got really good handling and braking, and it's generally a good accelerating car as well. So yeah, this is the newest car that we've got to choose from here that's been added to the game. This was added via the festival playlist, and yeah, several weeks ago now. But yeah, really enjoy driving this car. It's a properly good sports car, and one that has a lot of power as well. It's not the most powerful car here, because there's at least two other cars that have 400 horsepower that we can choose from. One of the Audi TTs and the Nissan Z. So yeah, but it is the lightest of the three, so definitely has that going for it. And with this turbo, with a supercharger, the power is always there. The turbocharger that the Audi and the Nissan have to deal with. Oh dear. This doesn't like to slide around all that much, unlike the Supra that we were in before, which does like to slide around a lot. This, on the other hand, is a lot more serious in terms of what it likes to do. Not that you can't slide it, but you have to be on the ball when you want to. It's not something you can just idly slide around. Coming in for a speed run. We are going quite quick. Even though we're still only in 5th, we're guaranteed the Toyotas are at least in 6th by now. It's because this has a more old school gearbox going for it. Oh dear. Right there, slowing us down. You can't handle the fact that we've got 65 extra horsepower over the Toyota while weighing less, which is obviously going to have the effect of me being quicker. Much louder engine on this car as well than the Toyota. Certainly a lot more raw of a vehicle, but then Lotus are nowhere near as mass produced as Toyotas are, so they're going to have a little bit less refinement in some regards, but yeah, still glorious sports cars. And again, we get a win, although not as massively convincing as the previous race, weirdly enough, despite having even more power. Yeah, we're a good 4 seconds or so ahead of the second place, and this time we're just over a second ahead of a pair of Supras, so yeah. A few Porsches in there as well, didn't see any of them I don't think in the previous race. But more importantly, that gives us another 20 points. So we're 10 points ahead of second and third, and 18 points ahead of fourth. So yeah, still technically everything to play for, as we've seen in previous championships where I've won 2 races and then unfortunately came only like in 5th and then lost the championship. So yeah, no guarantees in the third and final race, but let's get there and see what happens. Right, for this third and final race, we're going to go with another 400 horsepower car, and we're going to go with the Nissan Z car. And I know it's the third Japanese. No, not the third Japanese. Lotus obviously is not Japanese. Although, yeah, they were, I think, once at one point owned by Malaysia, a Malaysian company. But regardless, yeah, 400 horsepower again. More torque though in this engine because it is turbocharged and not supercharged, but it does weigh a lot as well. Yeah, I really do like this car. It's not flawless by any means, but I really like the looks of it. I just wish it was based on a brand new platform rather than being basically a 370Z with some modifications and a new body. So yeah, that is a little bit of a flaw on it, because the kind of aged platform does at times show through, but I love the styling. It's certainly the best looking Z car, probably in the 90s, and yeah, there's no doubt that it's properly quick as well. Sounds good as well on top of that, and yeah, it does surprise me that Nissan are able to do this kind of thing on their own, unlike Toyota, BMW and Subaru. So not quite sure when Nissan's getting all their money for a car like this, but I'm glad they're getting it regardless. This is a vast improvement over the old 370Z, although the Nismo version of that was quite good, and it's definitely better than the 350, which I didn't really ever get along with, also because its engine was just annoying to listen to. So yeah, return to form for Nissan and their sports car as far as I'm concerned. Fun to drive as well. Unlike with the Lotus, which you feel like is going to snap oversteer as soon as you start to have a bit of a fun drift, this just holds it constantly. I don't think I've ever lost a slide in one of these before. But it also handles when you want it to as well, while sounding and looking good in the process. Such a manageable car to drive, which is weird considering, you know, it weighs so much. It's easily one of the heavier cars here, more than £3,500, even heavier than the all-wheel drive Audi TT, which, you know, Audis are hardly known for their lightweightness, so yeah, that's a bit of a surprise. Not sure where all the weight has gone. Maybe again it's because it's based on an older platform and therefore has, you know, older materials being used that are generally heavier. Oh dear. Misjudged how speed I could carry through that corner there. But regardless, it has given us a third and final win. Kind of makes up for, I think, the last championship where we came 5th in the last race. So yeah, there we go. 3 fantastic cars. Really like all of them in their own kind of way. Although the Super is definitely my least favourite of the 3. So yeah, but regardless, that gives us another 20 points, giving us 60 overall. But more crucially, 5 points towards the season overall to give us that Toyota GR86, which I already have, but that'll give you guys 5 points and therefore a quarter of the way there. And yeah, it doesn't take much more to get the extra points, especially if you do the trial, the photo challenge and the treasure hunt thing, and then there you go, you've got your 20 points. But nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you with the next one. Bye.